and a very warm welcome to all of you to our very last episode of the season 2 Adda journey. It is truly my pleasure and honor to welcome you to the final webinar of Adda season 2 on a theme that is deeply personal and profoundly powerful: authorship. My name is Sansata Sahu, and I'll be your hostess for this evening. So, when we talk about authorship, what does it mean to each one of us? Is it the urge to capture a thought, the courage to put your story out to the world, or the quiet discipline of turning lived experiences into words? For us, authorship is all of this and more. It is a bridge of connection, rediscovery, expression, and joy. So before we dive deeper, I'd like to introduce Kuhu ma'am, who will be sharing about our season 2 Adda journey. Ma'am currently serves as the head of national operations at Silver Genie, India's pioneering full stack senior care solutions company. She has been an integral part of Silver Genie's journey right from its early days, working closely with the founding team to shape and strengthen our allied care vertical, from defining the vision to building solid operational foundations. Today, as the business head of Allied Care and National Operations, she leads initiatives that beautifully balance empathy with execution. From Gondola's Genie travel experiences and retirement readiness programs to care skilling initiatives, MAM's work is deeply focused on enhancing the quality of life for seniors and creating systems of care that are both thoughtful and impactful. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sanjita, and that's a great introduction. I really liked it. Adda is a heartfelt community space for stories, learning, and celebrations. It is built on the belief that light does not quiet down with time. It evolves, it deepens, and opens doors. Within each of us lies a lifetime of experience, still waiting to be explored, shared, and honored. Rooted in this connection, expression, and purposeful living, Silver King Adda is a space where real life takes center stage. Personal journeys, everyday triumph, and meaningful conversations are not just welcomed here, they are celebrated. Season 2 of Adda focused on everyday stories from our community and conversations that truly made a difference. Since the launch of Adda Season 2 on 28th of May 2025, I'm very proud to share that we hosted 10 plus engagement and impactful webinars. Our discussions span diverse themes such as fitness, aging, institutional care, the purple economy, and the International Day of Care and Support. We were fortunate to learn from distinguished speakers, including Mr. Debashish Satyapati, who shared lessons from Mahabharata, Ms. Devi Mani, who spoke about caregiver stress, Avitesh, who brought insights from architecture, and Ms. Shomita, who introduced us to inclusive fashion. Well, the topics varied. The part of every conversation was the same: care. At the core of these seasons, over 1,000 participants was an engaged and a thoughtful community. That community is you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of this Adda and for sharing your stories and for making this space truly meaningful. We will be returning very shortly with Adda Season 3. Care forward this energy, a rich spirit, and the same commitment to meaningful conversations. We look forward to continuing this journey together. And with that, I like to now invite Sanjita to take the webinar forward.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a very beautiful recap of our Adda 2. And before I go ahead, if I can request all the speakers to mute themselves just for the next 2 minutes, because I think there's some background noise that is coming. So just so that we can have a clear flow. And yeah, I think I'll just go ahead then. And honestly, it wouldn't have been possible without the presence of support of everyone here today. So I think that was a beautiful recap, ma'am. Thank you so much. And now I would like to introduce our panelist for the day. I would like to begin by welcoming our moderator, Mr. Arvind Mittal. Sir is the business head at Money Madan Ventures Private Limited, working across India and Dubai. Beyond his corporate expertise, he's a dedicated social worker, wellness mentor, and true fitness enthusiast. a barefoot marathoner, cyclist, and swimmer. Sir has guided many individuals, including those well past their 50s, on their coach to marathon journeys, helping them build confidence and lasting healthy habits. His life beautifully blends business leadership, well being, and service, making him an inspiring voice for purposeful and healthy living. Thank you so much again for joining us today, sir. Great. Now introducing our very first speaker of the day, Professor Anindya Roy. He is an associate professor emeritus. Sir has taught literature and literary theory at Colby College in Maine, US, until 2021, when he returned to India to live in Pedong, a rural town in the foothills of Himalayan West Bengal. He has published in scholarly journals on Kipling, Walter Scott, E.M. Forrester, and Virginia Woolf, among many others, and on British modernism as well as contemporary literature of West Africa. His first scholarly book, Civility and Empire, is a literary exploration of the cultural norm of civility in the colonial Victorian era and early 20th century. The Viceroy's Artist is his first work of fiction. Currently, he is working on a new novel about a fictional small mining town in western Odisha, which deals with the predicaments faced by Adivasis who lost their lands and forests to the mines. When he's not busy writing, he works on projects related to farming, apiary, and mushroom cultivation in the eastern Himalayan foothills. Welcome to our webinar, sir, and thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, next.
Yeah, unmute, yes.
No, please, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll give you a minute to say something if you'd like.
Yeah, I had to unmute myself first. Thank you, Sansida, for that wonderful introduction. My life has been kind of like a paradox. I mean, contradictions yoked together in many ways, because I was allowed to study literature at a time when young men were expected to go into engineering or into law or into medicine. I had absolutely no pressure from my family. I love literature, and they said, do it. The
Wow,
paradox
sir.
is the task of this, that after choosing literature, as an undergraduate, then a master's, and then going on to do my PhD, I pretty much stayed steady on that track. There were no
Okay.
diversions. I
Wow.
did Yeah, I did not have a part-time job like when I was in the US. Students had part-time jobs. I just remained steady on that particular trajectory. So on the one
Okay.
hand, although my decision was seen as being unconventional
Mhm.
for a doctor's son to want to study literature and be allowed to do so, and the fact that I pretty much remained on the same trajectory. So that's how I see my life. Kind of holding together this contradiction.
Very well,
Um,
sir. I think I'm very excited to hear more about that as well. I think
yeah.
as and when Arvind sir starts the webinar, which he'll be starting very soon, I'll just quickly complete the introductions. I'm sure all of us will be very interested to know how, like you said, Dr. Son allowed to study literature, and now you have written your first fiction. So I think that is something that's commendable, and we'll just get right onto that as well. Thank you so much. So
Okay.
I know everyone is waiting for that, so we'll just get on. So next speaker we have is Mr. Tanmay Dubey. Sir is a best-selling author of 8 books, widely known for high-impact thrillers that blend realism, depth, and fast-paced storytelling. Several of his works are moving towards screen adaptations, and his latest release, The Red Line 2: Quantum of Death, is already a bestseller. Alongside his own writing, Sir is a seasoned book writing coach and has mentored over 100 aspiring authors, helping them shape ideas into finished published books. Beyond the world of writing, Sir is a two-time Ironman triathlon finisher and a dedicated endurance athlete with multiple marathons to his name. The journey of endurance has deeply shaped his mindset, reinforcing the discipline, focus, and mental resilience that also reflect in his creative work. In his professional life, Sir is a corporate leader at Amazon Web Services, where he works at the intersection of technology, leadership, and innovation, bringing together structure, strategy, and creativity in everything he does. A very warm welcome to our webinar, sir.
Thank you, Sansita, and happy and proud to be associated with all of you.
Thank you so much, sir. So next up, we have Miss Neha Kanvilkar. Ma'am hails from Pune and has completed her BA, MA, and B.Ed from the University of Pune. And now she has vast experience as a professional teacher, but she later changed careers to become a technical writer in the IT industry. She's an avid traveler, an amateur trekker, a blogger, and of course, an author. She also serves society as a Rotary member and dances the Argentine tango very gracefully. Through her journey, she strives to be an example to follow and share her life experiences, urging other women to take charge of their lives. A very, very warm welcome to our webinar, ma'am. It is so good to see you again.
Thank you so much, Sanchita. I'm so happy to be here and be with the Silver Genie family again. Thank you so much for inviting.
Not a problem, ma'am. Thank you so much. And last but definitely not the least, our next speaker is Mr. B.D. Chatterjee. Sir is a distinguished financial expert and best-selling author with over 35 years of industry experience. His expertise spanned financial due diligence, business valuation, corporate restructuring, and risk management. As a chartered accountant and seasoned CFO, Sir has led major corporations and shared his vast knowledge through influential books. His works are invaluable resources for financial professionals, offering practical insights and comprehensive guidance. And thank you so much for joining us today, sir. Okay, thank you. And with this, I pass the mic to Arvind, sir, to take the conversation forward. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanchita. Thank you for warm welcome and great introduction. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to an evening where words come alive. This is more than a webinar. It's a meeting of ideas, memories, and imaginations. Yes, we are joined by inspiring authors like Tanmay Dubey, Aninjo sir, Mr. Chatterjee, and Ms. Neha Khanvelkar. And, we will be opening the stories from their classroom to, their boardroom, then archives to, bold creativity, what they've all gone through. And from fiction to thrillers, from teaching to transformation, this evening promises honest conversation and powerful insights. And so let's lean in, listen deeply, sip our coffee, sit relax, and celebrate the storytelling that connects us all. So, once again, warm welcome, everyone, and looking forward to learn a lot from you all. And would start the conversation with Professor Anindya Roy. My first question to you, sir. Could you share how your relationship with fiction evolved over time, and from studying and teaching literature to writing your own novel, how the life has been to you?
Okay, so I will keep it as concise as possible. Uh, I told you I was a student of literature after passing out of school. I did
We would request
PhD.
everyone to mute yourself so that we can listen to Professor Roy. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, all right. Okay, so after these little hiccups, yes, I was a student of literature and I went to college and studied English literature, did my bachelor's and master's, and then got a fellowship to go to the US to do a PhD in literature. And that was just the beginning. I was interested in reading and writing. My mother was an avid reader. The house was full of books. We were privileged, in that sense, to be surrounded by books. And after going to the US, after completing my PhD, I was offered a job as an assistant professor at a university. I taught there and then moved to another liberal arts college in the US, in the Northeast. I think going to a liberal arts college made a huge difference. I'm not really sure how many of you know enough about liberal arts colleges in in the US. Can you hear me? I mean, I'm not hearing anything back.
Yes, sir, we can hear you
Yes, yes,
perfectly.
loud and clear.
We hear you. We have all muted ourselves so that we
Oh,
can listen you
okay.
carefully.
Now that I know, all right. Teaching at a liberal arts college, when you're teaching literature to students from science, from psychology, philosophy, ancient Greek, you are actually interacting with students with very different understanding of the written word. And that itself was the first challenge of teaching. And I think when I taught literature, I was very much aware of the fact that I had to make these texts accessible to all of them so that they could actually participate, they could contribute, they could write. That was the biggest challenge. And I think that required a very different engagement with literature, just not analysis, the kinds of things that we were trained to do, as a PhD student when we had to write our dissertations and publish our articles. That's my first experience. The second, of course, was the fact that I was reading all around. I mean, I had interactions with people in the Spanish department, Italian department, German department, ancient Greek. So even my own interests were reshaped by that encounter. So I did research, and I wrote articles, but they were mostly analytical articles. They were not what you would call creative pieces. But I always kept a diary. I kept journals. And in that, I recorded my reflections. And those reflections were about readings, about people, about conversations I remembered, about an image, about a particular setting, so all of those became, as I told you, a record of the way in which words streamed through my mind and came out in the form of sentences and little paragraphs. But as you know, if you're in the scholarly field, you have to publish. And so the rig of publishing, I mean, that itself put me through out of general initial stress, but also excitement. You realize what it means to reach out to a scholarly audience and to get their approval. So that's the story of literature. And the book that I loved were, of course, I also learned French and German. So then I was reading a little bit in those languages with difficulty, but I was. And then some bit of translations. I actually also did some translations as well. And then read, of course, all the major texts of English literature. My area of specialty was 19th century literature, on how imperialism and colonialism shaped the narratives of 19th century. So does that answer your question? Let be. Yes.
Sorry, I was mute myself and I was reacting to your question. So your life has also been a roller coaster ride with,
Yeah.
different kind of minds and, learning through them and
Language
teaching them, and it's amazing. Great.
and language. The fact that I had to move through so many different terrains of language, and
Wow.
also, somehow address the concerns of students who are writing and thinking like I was.
Amazing. Your novel grew out of an unexpected archival discovery. How do you approach turning fragments, gaps, and partial records into a living story through imagination? What made you do that?
Okay. I think, first of all, I accidentally stumbled upon the journals of Edward Lear. And I wasn't quite sure what I would do with it. The scholarly side of my mind said, do an analytical kind of essay based on the fragments, the little pieces, the journal entries. But the creative side of me suggested that I should do something else with it. And and the word fragment is important because along with literature, I also studied philosophy. And in the 19th and 20th century, European philosophers ruminated and wrote a lot about the nature of the fragment. What is a fragment? And what does a fragment have to do with a hypothetical whole if it exists? So I think my awareness of some of those philosophical, speculative kinds of forms of understanding the fragment really egged me on. Said, these are fragmented pieces of a diary, of a journal. There are far too many gaps. None of the stories are complete, but you get little glimpses here and there. There are more silences, more dark spots than there are illuminated spots. And that is where I think the philosophy of the fragment helped me decide, what, there is a storyline somewhere there, deeply buried in those silences and gaps. And so I started writing. And of course, at that point, I shared some of my writing with colleagues, and most of them were literature professors, but a few fiction writers. The place where I taught had a department of creative writing. And I think they said, yes, proceed. This really is an engaging story. But I was a little bit concerned about the fact that since I was trained as a literature person, that my writing would not be able to reach out to a general audience.
I
You know,
understand.
what happens is it becomes too refined and it has all of the resonances of literary style. But my friend said, write what you can do. Don't try to imagine yourself as someone else. And that's
Wonderful.
what I did. I wrote the novel in a fashion that reflects a lot of the style of Virginia Woolf, whom I'd written about and taught. And you know what? I was lucky enough to get a publisher. A lot of people are amazed by the fact that something that is so layered and moves in such eccentric ways was accepted by a publisher. So that's the story of this.
Wonderful, wonderful story, sir. All right. So before I come back to you for another question, I would
Yeah.
go to Tanmay, my friend. You know, I have a question for you, Tanmay. Your
Sure.
book, Deadline, is now moving towards an OTT adoption. What
Yep.
has transition from page to screen been like for you, and how does it feel to see work take on new life?
See, Arvind, frankly, I am not distinguishing rest of the panel members are here. Somebody is teaching literature, somebody is an English teacher. I am a mechanical engineer, and I work in tech sales. So I do not have that pedigree of a great somebody who has a strong command on language and the other intricacies of writing. But what I did had was a passion of storytelling, and that passion came from my number of years of as a writer, as a reader, sorry, and of watching movies and all that. So I picked up fiction because I love fiction. I picked up thrillers because that was inherently I was good at telling stories and I enjoyed watching fiction movies. So my intent, so there's a gap between intent and capability. While I wasn't great at capability level, my intent was very strong, and that kept me going to tell a wonderful story, which was a story of an underdog policeman, and the film producers loved it. I was lucky enough for them to be noticed by them and picked up by them. So that's where I would place myself. I have a lot of passion and intent, and that's what makes me going. Capability, yes, maybe I'm not at 100%, but to answer to your question, the journey was fantastic. It's like a dream come true, and I'm waiting for the day when the finally the project will hit the screens. I've already finished writing Red Line 2, and there's an immense pressure from the film producers to write the third part also of the character. So the character is about Hanuman Shastri, an honest policeman and an underdog policeman as well. So yeah, it's been quite a fascinating journey and very unpredictable one. When I started way back in 2014, I wrote my first book, Just Six Evenings. I know you were there at the launch. The idea wasn't there to see these books in movies. The idea was to be able to write one book, but that one book kept into second, third, fourth, fifth, and now eight books. The journey has been really wonderful, and I've been really, really thankful to the God for the opportunity that that has been bestowed onto me.
Wonderful, wonderful, man. And truly, it's amazing to see, my friend writing books which are converted into OTT. It is a inspiring story for me as well. And we've conversed about writing books before, so
Earlier
we'll take
also.
this conversation forward again. And maybe this piece of webinar may inspire me to do something out of the box.
True.
Great. So, alongside your own writing, Tanmay, you have actively mentored budding writers.
Yeah.
What draws you to do this role, and what have you learned from guiding new voices in writing world?
See, two parts to this question. Why did I choose this job? See, frankly, again, it came out of passion also, because I was in general pretty passionate about teaching people, coaching people, and somewhere in 2019, I was generally looking to start a uh, uh, side gig to help support me financially and to create an alternate identity also. The whole thing that, hey Tanmay, you are a corporate guy. So if I look at my story, okay, there was Tanmay Dubey. He became a big corporate person, and then suddenly one day he was finished. So I thought, yeah, this is too bland for me to have my own personal story. So I was looking to create that alternate identity of myself and really genuinely helping people, because that help part came into me. Why author coaching? Because I realized I struggled a lot when I wanted to write a book in terms of who is the publisher, how to write, what to write, and there are a lot of those self-limiting beliefs which a human being has, or which, and my thought is everybody is an author, everybody is a storyteller, but again, the intent and capability part, everybody has an intent, but do does that guy have capability to write or not? So I started to fill that gap. That was my point, that okay, I have seen people do sales coaching, I have seen people do a lot of other coaching, how to make quick money and stuff like that. I thought this was a great niche to pick up. And 2020, people were at home. I started this as a moonlighting concept at my home, and it became really big. I coached almost 100 plus people. I'm still doing it, but not that full time kind of thing. But yeah, there are about 4 or 5 coaches always with me, working in a year. And my style was very different. My style was one to one. And my promise to the gentleman was that if you come to me, I will be there with you till the time you finish your book, irrespective of the time. This was not a
Wonderful.
2 months course. This is not a 3 months course. I said, you come to me as a coach. My job is to see you cross the finish line, just like we do in marathons, right? We run, we pace the person. We pace the person, and we say, boss, I am there pacing you till the time you cross the finish line. And that was the reason I wasn't really taking a lot of clients, and I deliberately worked with a very small niche set of people who were very keen to work with me, and I saw that passion in them, and I worked them. So that was a great uh, humbling experience for me, because एक चीज होती है ना, जब आप सिखाने जाते हो, आप बहुत
जी,
खुद सीखते हो. So वहां पे
correct.
जाके समझ में आया कि यार, while when I was teaching people, it also helped me become a better writer. So that was, and that bargain was coming to me. आप जब देने जाते हो तो आपको बहुत सारी चीजें मिलती हैं, तो वो जो चीजें मुझे मिल रही थी उसने मुझे और सेल्फिश बनाया, मैं और लोगों की मदद करने लग गया. So and that was a nice journey. That's a nice journey still going on, and I still continue to.
Wonderful.
There are a lot of, and the best part is, Arvind ji, a lot of my corporate senior bosses have come to me.
Oh, wow.
I've seen, I've heard you do that, and I always take that example of लगान फिल्म की एक डायलॉग था, जब एक वो सदाजी वाला कैरेक्टर आमिर खान के पास आता है, वो बोलता है कि भुवन, मैंने सुना है अंग्रेजों से लड़ने के लिए तू फौज बना रहा है, मैं भी खेलना चाहता हूँ. तो मैं हमेशा लोगों को बोलता हूँ कि यार, मैं भुवन हूँ और मैं अंग्रेजों से लड़ने के लिए फौज बना रहा हूँ, आ जाओ मेरे साथ. तो ये जर्नी रही है.
Wonderful.
All been
Truly
fun.
amazing. Truly amazing. तो मैं भी अंग्रेजों से लड़ना चाहता हूँ. Great. So very rightly said, like in marathon, we help people, we pace them and we stay with them in the entire journey. So this is a really good concept. And I'm sure you learned it from the your marathon journey and you've implemented that here. So I always tell people, it's not necessary that you read some particular subject from some particular book, then only you learn it. You can learn from anywhere and anytime from any kind of activities. You have to keep your mind open. Absolutely great. So I will move on to the next author, which is Sneha Srivastava. Sneha, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm switching on all the.
All right. So, Sneha, my question is to you is what made you want to write the echo of my chart?
Ah, this book. This is my latest book. This is my only second book that I have written. The Echo of My Chalk is all about my journey as a school teacher and the bonds that I made during that time.
Okay.
And so I wanted to write this book because we feel that, a teacher's journey is very typical and it's all about teaching and receiving and things like that. But I wanted to emphasize it is the smaller moments or the unnoticed moments where we overlook, the quiet smiles, the silences, and nothing very loud. I mean, it's all about uh, these small moments that uh, encourage each other, I would say. When the teacher encourages the student, or even the student gives a soft okay to the teacher, and she goes on and she's encouraged. So no matter what happens in the classroom, eventually what is remembered, the fun, the laughter, the musty, the
True.
mischief, all these things only we remember. Whatever touches our heart, that is all we remember. So therefore, this shaped up the echo of my chalk. I wanted to honor all those powerful moments and remind us that education is carried forward not in those only in those lessons, but it is this emotions and connections that we build that take us forward.
True.
Long
Absolutely.
after the chalk has faded, like that.
Very right. Whenever we go for a reunion with our school friends or college friends, we don't
Mm-hmm.
remember the sentences we learned or, you
Correct.
know, Pythagoras Prameya we learned. We always remember what made us, connect with each other, what
Correct.
made us, come this far in life where we are today. So very truly said, small events, small acts makes our life so wonderful and so creative and so easy. All
Right.
right, great, wonderful. So I will engage with Mr. B.D. Chatterjee as well before I come back to rest of you. Um, Mr. B.D. Chatterjee is thinking, "Mera number kab aayega?" Let us interact with him as well. Could you share your journey with writing? How it began, how it has evolved over the years.
Yeah, it's a long journey for me, but I'm a professional writer. Basically, my background is I'm a chartered accountant. So basically, finance is my subject. So I have been, I loved this subject right from the beginning, during my college days. So thereafter, what happened is I started, into my professional career. It went on for 3 years, three decades. The interesting part that happened was I operated in multiple industries. I started with industrial gases, then moved to, specialty chemicals, thereafter healthcare, and then to FMCG and, dairy, which is basically mother dairy. So everywhere as a CFO, as a senior position. So that what happened was, as you know, Vinji, for the CFOs, all the problems of the organization, the challenges come on the desk of the CFO. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so you have to go ahead and resolve those So, and that has happened right through, right? In fact, my last assignment that I did was as a global CFO for an organization, international think tank in the US. So it covers, multiple countries like US, like India, like Middle East, yeah, Dubai, Egypt, Singapore, China, Philippines, all of this. Now, how do you really handle the finance, the entire global finance discipline across the board? So huge issues, huge problems, the structure, etc. So you have to, continuously, update yourself and improve and bring in new challenges, solve those challenges. So now what happens is when you go back, down the memory lane and go back and see, these are all pearls of knowledge that you can see. So what I try to do is, I try to pick the theory from finance and use my practical input, kind of put it as a fusion and come up with my books. In fact, you can see some of the books there on the screen. So till date, I have roughly about 20 of them, and all of them are basically on finance in various topics like corporate restructuring, on international financial reporting standards, on business valuation, on finance for non-finance, financial due diligence. So these are the areas where I have gone through and really on a day-to-day life to take this forward. So basically, that was the journey for me, and I'm still, it's very passionate for me. And what happens is a book comes out, and that is a huge, you feel good about the inspiration that comes out is something which I look for, and that's why I keep writing going forward.
Wonderful, sir. Great. Thank you so much. So I'll come back to Professor Anindya Roy with the last question for him in the day. Okay, when you think about writing more broadly, what role do storytelling, memory, and self-discovery play for you, both as a writer and as a human being? Dr. Roy.
1 minute. I think we are born storytellers. We might not all end up writing books, but we actually establish our identities through this interactive aspect of storytelling. Because when you tell a story, there is an audience. You get some response back. So I think writing is, in that sense, that your first audience is yourself. You're telling a story, you're remembering a story, you're putting together something from the past in the form of a narrative. That itself is work, it's a certain construction. And at some point, you want to share it. And that's when you imagine an audience who would be interested in this story and why would they be interested. So you reflect a lot on that. In my case, I not only reflected, but I also wrote down my reflection.
Absolutely.
What would a reader think of this particular memory and in this particular form? Is it a closed story or an open-ended story, right? Is it a fragment, a little bit? I also experimented with something called, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's called flash fiction, where you have to write a story in 250 words that has a
Okay.
particular turn and a resolution. So what that does is it focuses your attention on being not only as concise, but in telling a story that captures the reader's audience, the reader's attention. And then you also think about language, what kind of language do I need to adopt? So I think storytelling, thinking, reflecting on language, reflecting on intended audience, and but also thinking of it as a self-reflection kind of activity or act of storytelling. And I think for all of us, irrespective of whether or not we have taught literature or we haven't, we've always dealt with peoples and situations that have triggered something in us. And I encourage all of you to think of those trigger moments and to capture those in the form of even a short paragraph. And then slowly you can think of like what could be the more comprehensive story, the arc behind that one fragment. That's how I think of writing, and that's how I keep my kind of creative energies alive by writing little pieces very often.
Wow,
Um,
wonderful.
Personal memory is important. In my second novel, which is near completion, I actually draw on a personal memory. My father was a doctor in a small rural mining town when I was really young. To retrieve those kinds of little flashes of memory and to create a story around was the challenge that I took up. Because as a child, I didn't see the larger picture. All I saw were little bits and pieces that appealed to me that I could recall. But when you're writing a story, you are actively constructing a whole. And the creative imagination through memory, I think, plays a very important role in that.
Absolutely great. Great learning from you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll come back to Tanmay now.
Yes, sir.
Tanmay, okay. So, Tanmay, you are widely known for your realistic approach to thriller writing. Could you take us through your writing journey and share how you developed, this distinctively style over the years?
एक बड़े मजेदार किस्सा है अरविंद जी. व्हेन आई रोट माय फर्स्ट बुक व्हिच वाज अ लव स्टोरी, and I always wanted to write thrillers because, as I said earlier, ki thrillers was something which I've grown up with. I've read Frederick Forsyth, Robert Ludlum, Dan Brown, and Wilbur Smith, and a lot of these people. So inherently there was something in me which kind of was always attracted towards thriller writing. But as a writer, when I first decided to write, देयर वाज अ फियर इन मी, और उसने उस फियर ने मुझे पिक चूज किया, एक लव स्टोरी, एक वेरी 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 नॉर्मल लव स्टोरी पिक किया करने
Six
के लिए.
Evening.
Just 6 evenings. So I wrote that book. People loved it. There was also there's a distinct thrilling style of narration into it. Ki it starts with somebody getting arrested and then it turns into a love story. So जो feedback मुझे बार बार मिल रहा था वो ये था, तन्मय बड़ा थ्रिलर स्टाइल में लिखा है तुमने, थ्रिलर स्टाइल में लिखा है तुमने. And at the back of my mind, I always thought, यार, I want to write into thriller. I want to write a thriller. And again, very funny on a lighter note, I met a very senior person in my office, and he used to look hands and all. And he looked at my hand and he said, कि अच्छा तन्मय, you've written a book. कहता यार, एक्शन लिखोगे तो ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा तुम्हारे लिए. So
Okay.
it's a push for me. Then he said, अच्छा, action thriller, उनका कहने का यही मतलब था. So I was like, okay, this is something that I really want to write, I really enjoy, but there was this fear that I may not be able to do justice on thriller writing, and hence I picked up thriller in my third book, Red Line. और वहां से फिर it's just started coming naturally, and because I've read a lot of those thrillers and I know about the plot and the graft and I've read also the creative writing thing. की creative writing का मैंने कोर्स किया था, तो मुझे पता था कि यार नुआंसेस क्या होते हैं. और एक थ्रिल राइटिंग में एक नेचुरल आपका एक्सटिंक्ट भी होता है, कोई पोएट होता है, कोई एकेडमिक बुक्स लिखता है, और मेरे अंदर वो एक थ्रिलर का थिंग था. जहां तक रियलिस्टिक की बात है कि हाउ डिड यू राइट रियलिस्टिक, आई in through my lens, I look at life as a very realistic one. मेरे बुक में कैरेक्टर एक अरविंद मित्तल साहब होंगे, एक विकास गुप्ता जैसे एक व्यक्ति होंगे. सो जो बहुत ही रियल मैं आसपास लोगों को देखता हूँ, मैं उन्हीं से इंस्पायर होता हूँ. मेरे लिए बहुत मुश्किल है ऐसी कहानियां लिख पाना, विद ऑल ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट टू समथिंग लाइक RRR या समथिंग लाइक बाहुबली, जो कि एक बहुत बिल्कुल ही निहायती एक वैसे सेटअप में बना हुआ हो, एक बहुत ही फ्यूचरिस्टिक सेटअप बोल लीजिए या माइथोलॉजिकल सेटअप बोल लीजिए, मैं वैसा नहीं लिख सकता, हालांकि मैं पढ़ता हूँ वैसी चीजें. सो बिकॉज माई इंस्पिरेशन एंड माई स्टोरीज कम्स फ्रॉम पीपल हु आर अराउंड मी, and because I have that distinct knack of looking and that thrill concept into me, कि मुझे वो बहुत अच्छा लगता है. जैसे डिश की बात होती है ना, आप जो खाना बहुत अच्छा लगता है आप कोशिश करते हैं आप वैसे ही बनाएंगे. So मैंने बहुत सारा थ्रिल पढ़ा हुआ है. So इसीलिए मैं रियलिस्टिक थ्रिलर्स लिखने में ज़्यादा विश्वास रखता हूँ, और वो निखर के भी अच्छे से आती हैं when I write those books.
Wonderful. I think most of your books are bestsellers, right?
If they are, yes, I'm thankful to the readers.
Wonderful. All right. Great. So I'll go back to Miss Sneha Kanvelkar. Are you there?
Yes, very much.
Okay. You eating something. Great.
Oh my God, come on.
All right. So my question to you is, what lessons did your students unknowingly teach you?
Oh, plenty. They keep teaching me, and they say I keep teaching them still. So we have a good rapport over there. But if you look at it in the holistic manner, in 15 years' time, they brought about a lot of, what should I say, studied patience in me. That was the first thing they must have taught me, because as they progress, then that patience was to teach me that progress is slow. Things take time to grow. So take it easy, kind of. No? Everything is not quick fix kind of a thing.
Right. Very
And,
right.
when I was young, I was quite a spitfire, and like used to shower a lot, or I wanted very quick responses and things like that. So that was a really good thing they taught me. Plus, like Mr. Roy said, every time you have to research, whenever you're studying something, whenever you're teaching something, you keep learning. In that
True.
process, the more I was teaching them, I was also learning. I was learning more in depth of knowledge about a certain topic, so that I could give them the best information. So that taught me that you can be humble. It taught me humility, I would say, because their questions would help me explore more answers. So there was nothing that I was not in a position that I know it all, kind of a thing, like that. And I think eventually that vulnerability helped us create better bonds and stronger bonds as such between them and me. And of course, resilience to face challenges, because they kept on facing challenges, and so did I. And together, we kept each other company on that ground, like that. And I think most importantly, I would say, what should I say, like the small joys of life, small victories. So children are very enthusiastic about such things. And I think the
Absolutely.
child in me is still alive because of the energy that is exchanged between children and me. And I like that part about myself also, that I'm able to uh, feel or celebrate every moment, and these are the moments again, um, which created so many enduring bonds between us. And finally, teaching is not a one-way path, right? It's a two-way thing.
Two-way
They,
communication. True.
yeah, they teach us, we learn something. It's all about accepting and acknowledging that particular aspect, that you have also learned, that you have also grown, because as a person you keep growing when you keep teaching and you see them reacting, and then all the time you have to remind yourself you are the adult in the room, so your responses have to be more studied in that manner.
Very
And I
right. You have to keep reminding that you are the one who is the teacher,
Yeah,
not the
I mean, in,
student.
in certain senses, that especially when they are very emotional or very hyper about something, or very, uh, especially when they fight with each other, let's say, and they're like,
Right.
"Teacher, that boy is not doing any work, but you're giving him full marks," and, things like that. So it becomes very difficult. And then you have to remind yourself that you don't have to react, you have to just respond,
True.
reply properly, and all those things, which later on, I think after 20 years or so, then I started reading those lines and I said, oh my God, I've learned all this when I was a teacher. So there's a lot
Absolutely.
of learning both ways, I would say. Yes, I definitely grew as a person and I liked it.
Wonderful. Great. So I'll go back to Mr. Chatterjee now. So,
Yeah,
Mr. Chatterjee, looking back on your professional career, what experiences have most shaped the way you think and write today? Some one or two examples which has helped you come this far.
See, interestingly, I would, of course, I'm not, considering the internal influences like on the job in corporate. I would like to get into the external influence that has happened. In fact, if you see, and I'm sure you would be also, privy to this. If you go back 45 years, I break the whole 45 years of the corporate journey into four buckets. So first bucket would be because I had the privilege of working pre-computer days, right? It was all manual.
Right.
Exactly. So that is say early 80s, and then we started in the computer age, right? So in the
Correct.
computer age, the whole thing took a leap. The business took a leap into various kind of process changes, process re-engineering, and things like that. So that happened. In fact, I will give you a small example. The organization is a global multinational which I was working on. It had implemented SAP R3 those days. It did a big bang implementation for 12 countries in one go in Asia Pacific, right? And it had the closing time every month is the green screen time. And in one SAP system, you would have 250 legal entities and I think 24 or 26 global SBUs. You can see the size and the enormity of this. So then you had the global data standards, the global data centers which were kind of kept in places. So all this happened during the IT stage. And thereafter, the third phase is the digital phase, which we are familiar with. Like an example I'll share with you on digital phase is when you run a global organization, you say as a CFO, you have to, approve financial transactions for, say, at least 10 countries. And you have to access sitting in one place, like US, like Singapore, China, Philippines, all of these sitting there, and everything is online real time. Nothing is hard coded. Nothing is basically documents are there. No check systems. So everything is done that way. So we have gone through this process. So this is digital. And the last stage that we are going through now is the AI stage. It is very critical that the business has to move into AI stage, which is doing now. We are now still at the fringes. Now, what has happened is since the business has moved from these individual phases, finance had to catch up every time. So, which means you had to unlearn and learn again, unlearn and learn, and keep going like that. And that has been a fantastic, experience for me. I'm still learning. I'm a lifelong student. I'm still learning, and all these I've actually I try to focus into my books. So this has been a massive, external influence. I'm sure everybody who is in business in various way or the other would have gone through this same life cycle going forward.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. We've all gone through this life in business, all stages, especially people who are in the business since long. Great. So, having seen the world of business and finance change so dramatically over time, how has this evolution influenced your personal journey as an author?
See, basically what has happened is, like I said, three things influenced me. One is the, expanse of industries. The other one as the level of where I operated in the respective industries together as finance head. And the third is the macro changes, the macroeconomic changes, the business changes. All of these kind of impacted on the real life situation that we have been putting in. So you have theory on one side, you juxtapose that, bring it in fusion, and try and give it back to the posterity, and that has a huge impact on your writing, because you can't write something which is kind of outdated. Nobody will read. So it has to be up to date. It has to be like today, most of the writings are getting into the AI mode. If any topic you are now putting in, if you don't bring in AI in the system, you are obsolete. So that is how, which has hugely impacted the writing process, and it is changing. It is actually evolving very, very fast as we speak now.
Absolutely, absolutely true. World is evolving and changing very fast.
Yeah.
So I have a question from the audience. Let me read it, and all of you are welcome to answer this. Okay. All right. So if you writing for others to read, then unless you can find a lit agent who will read your book, it's virtually impossible to find a publisher. Independent publishing and sale through Amazon etc. is the only way. Here too, unless you promote, only your contacts will read. So my question is, whom are you writing for, and how do you plan to reach genuine readers?
I can answer this.
Please do.
See, Mr. Attendee, I don't know your name, but honestly, the one answer should be that you should always write for yourself. The moment you write, start thinking कि मेरा book कौन पढ़ेगा, and I'm writing for this audience, I'm writing for that audience. You're taking, my dear friend, you're taking a very wrong step in your mind. Uh, be honest in your writing. Write for yourself. Write with full faith and full love, full honesty, and there will be success will come sooner or later. Now how do you measure that success? Now if you're measuring that success कि मेरा किताब 100 लोगों ने पढ़ा, 1000 लोगों ने पढ़ा, 10,000 लोगों ने पढ़ा, then again you're getting into a very materialistic approach of a very I would say very spiritual process of writing, and sharing some it can be stories or anything else. So please get your that act clear, that how are you measuring success. अब अगर सक्सेस वैसे ही आपको मेजर करना है, it's virtually impossible to find a publisher. Yes, because the publishing industry is in a very tight ropes, and I don't say bad about these publishers, because generally reading as a habit is gone out of people's radar as youngsters. There were only hardly few things that you could get entertained, and books was one of them. But today's youngsters, they've got an option of not reading but reeling, and you're competing your if you're competing with a lot of that attention in window time with scrolling and reading and OTT watch and so whatnot, right? So generally Indians are reading less, and hence publishers are finding it tough to sell in a very traditional publishing mode, and hence they are it's difficult to become a publisher, and hence this whole self publishing thing has come up. So it's not wrong if you're not able to find a lead agent. If you're able to find, great, because that means that your work is really beautiful. Even if you're not able to get it, you're not unlucky, you're not lucky to get that. आप अपनी बुक अमेजोन पे पब्लिश कराइए, और जो आपके अंदर भावनाएं हैं उनको व्यक्त करिए. अगर आप उसी पे टिके रहेंगे, मेरी किताब किसने पढ़ी, कौन ने पढ़ा, कितना मैंने पैसा कमाया, तो मेरे भाई, मेरे दोस्त, you will always get stuck, and probably you will end up getting frustrated. So that's my 2 cents to you.
I agree with you very clearly. In fact, I can share with you that I'm also publishing books, self-publishing for a global audience. If the book has quality, the book is contemporary, and we are taking care of current subject matter, I'm definitely people across the world is buying. Like I don't want to say materialistically, there are almost 100 books I've sold internationally. My publications are being sold. So I think the important part, as being highly clearly mentioned, is the quality of what we are trying to put together. If the quality is there, it will definitely find a publisher.
True. Anything, Professor Roy, you want to add on? And Ms. Sneha?
One thing is that if you're writing a more literary style and your topics are not contemporary in a simple way, right? They reflect philosophical topics that reach out beyond yourself to other worlds. Because there is a very complex relationship between the world and the word, and some people want to explore those. But this is the time when the body of readers is shrinking rapidly. So write for yourself. It's important that you bring the world and the word together in your own terms. And as your primary audience, this is a story I'm telling myself. I think if you abandon that, then you lose what is called, impulse, the basic flame of writing. And then in certain cases, it's also quite arbitrary. A book agent might like something that you've written, although it's set, in some other time. Um, and then eventually you will go through the whole process. But the fact is to understand that there are limitations on who will read your book right now. But you have to write because that is the impulse. The
Very right.
impulse, the word and the world together.
Very right. Amazing. Miss Neha.
Yeah, I would just add over there that I think both my books came up with this point that I have to tell my story, and through that, people will learn whatever they have to gather from it, like that. So, my first book, Deserving, is also about my journey of life. It's like an autobiography. And in fact, other people had convinced me to write it because they felt there is so many things that other people can learn so many things from my life story. Only I was not convinced about it. And I used to feel like everybody struggles, everybody has their own challenges to face in life, and everybody copes with it also. So I have done nothing different. But when they started telling me different ways in which they see it, then I wrote my first book, that is Deserving. And I can actually tell you that the feedback that I have got, from that feedback, I can create another whole book actually. So to that extent, it makes a difference. So when we really write, I think Mr. Tanmay said very rightly at the beginning, you write from your heart, you write for yourself, and you write what you want to say. So then everybody
Absolutely.
else will do it accordingly.
Absolutely, absolutely. People don't understand that you can't build Rome in a day. If you
Yeah.
want to become a successful author, that is also a journey you have to live. You have to put your sincere efforts. You have to put your life into it, and you have to learn, unlearn, relearn, do everything to make the right book. And audience will come, readers will come. They will find you if you find them and some relevant stories. So that's my take on this question. One more last question from all of you, whosoever wants to answer. How to write a bestseller, and what is a bestseller?
I'm not answering that. So, Mr. Tanmay, Mr. Roy,
Honestly, I really don't know how to answer that question because I myself am bit confused about the term bestseller, right? Um, and I don't assess myself according to the standards of any bestseller. You write because you have an interesting story to tell and you want an audience to maybe discover that. That's the only impelling force.
Absolutely great.
I want to add one thing here is I heard a very, very popular author say about his own book. He said, my first book, nobody was willing to touch because it was very big. And he said, I bought the rights and I bought a lot of copies for myself. And that's how I became a bestseller. So
Yeah.
that is for you. I love the
Why not?
guts that we had to say it in front of the audience. We were sitting in
Yeah.
a festival and we said it. And I also thought to myself, okay, can I do this? Do I want to invest so much money in doing this? Is this the way I want to earn my name? And the answer was obviously no. So again, I didn't get into that rut of, becoming the bestseller or whatever. Because whenever
Yeah.
the time happens, that person is going to find a book. Like, let's say I wrote The Echo of My Chalk as a teacher's journey. After I wrote it, in my review sessions, in my editing phase, then it turned out that, okay, there are lots of tips for parents, there are life lessons for all professionals. So
Yeah.
she
Exactly.
pointed out that anybody picks up your book, they can get 10,000 tips on whatever they are doing. And this was proven write just a couple of days ago, I think on Saturday or something. Some industrialist picked up my book, and he said the very first line is telling me that how I should live life. And he said, I have heard these lines maybe 20, 30 years ago, and now you have reminded me of it. And this, I now know I have done the right thing of living in that manner. So I felt very, it was a very heartwarming sentence for me, because he's an industrialist. He's going to think business. He's going to think money. He's going to think on a different line. But a simple book like Echo of My Chalk could, resonate with him. I'm very happy about that. And I think as a writer, that is where the true happiness comes in. So I don't know about bestsellers and how many people are really, really reading it. So when I get that matters.
Anything, Mr. Chatterjee and Tanmay, you want to add? Your voice is not coming, Mr. Chatterjee. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry, yes. What I'm trying to say is that bestseller is an outcome. So from the author's side, author can do his best to really write the book. And exactly, I'm not sure what exactly is the definition of bestseller, because like for instance, one of my books, I've got 9 editions published. Now the 10th edition is going through. I have now no idea whether that's a bestseller or not. At the end of the day, the quality has to come up. If the quality is there, readers will pick it up and move.
You don't need to know the meaning of bestseller after 9 editions. Over to you, Tanmay. Please unmute yourself. Your voice is not coming to us, Tanmay. We can't hear you.
I think Tanmay sir is asking us to continue. Tanmay sir, do you have... Okay. I think you were asking us to continue. Okay.
All right. You understand the author's language. You will definitely become an author soon.
Oh, wow. Thank you, sir.
Professor Roy?
I think one of the key takeaways for sure, sir.
Yeah, I'm going back to this this moment at some of the literary festivals where I was referred to as a writer. Now, I don't see myself as a writer. I see myself as one who writes. Think once you move into that mode, your expectations are all predetermined. If you say you want to write, you have a wider territory. You also have the flexibility to kind of navigate yourself. So, no, I tell them I'm not a writer. I write, I enjoy writing. I enjoy telling stories. Some of them might be stories of vulnerabilities, precariousness, being on the edge. Some of the stories might be people a bit uncomfortable, but that's how life is. Not everything can be a happy story. There are dark shadows behind things, or memories might have repressed as aspects to it. Bring those out. Those are important stories to tell. And that's my take when I respond to questions about, do I see myself as a writer/author?
I think that very well sums up the question, Arvind sir. What would you say? I think we got so many different variations of these answers from everyone actually at this point. You talked about being a writer who writes, and then I think it was such an interesting session today, just because we had someone from the finance to fiction. I think that contrast was very visible, but at the same time, I think very insightful to hear different aspects of writing also. So I think I'm very grateful to everyone here. And, before I just, we move on to the next segment of the session, I think I would just like to invite Anup sir also for his insights. I'll just quickly introduce him right now. Anup Bansal sir, he is in IIT Mumbai and IIT Kanpur anonymous. He began his career with Motorola India and became an entrepreneur in 2010 when he founded Mitras, a wealth management company. Mitras was acquired by Scriptbox in 2021. Sir is a marathoner, trekker, biker, and avid traveler. Following his passion, he has started a travel tech platform, Adventurer, that helps people discover, plan, and manage their adventures and their trips end to end. Thank you for joining us today, sir. I hope you're there on the screen right now.
Yes, Ansida. Can you guys all hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you. Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you for the kind introduction. So, I have the task of giving the vote of thanks, and what a session. Accomplished authors, fiction, non-fiction, memoir, uh, intensely technical and academic topic of financial and accounting. So I think, my mind is already rolling with a lot of things. And thank you, Arvind, for moderating this session. So, like your runs, you paced the session excellently with the apt questions, insights, and your characteristic wit. Not only this panel, I think, but you have made everyone in your past panels also comfortable with an easygoing and friendly demeanor. So, thank you so much, Arvind, once again,
Thank you.
for moderating this session. What stood out for me is the storytelling part, which has been done for ages, even before we started writing, I believe. Right. So somewhere I heard that Gita initially was transferred from one generation to another through just speaking, or through just people just kind of reciting it. And there was no writing actually, but it was still storytelling. And I think humanity will evolve. AI has come and will evolve, but storytelling will always remain a way of self-expression and will never go out of fashion. And now I know that if I ever want to attempt writing a book, I need to read a lot. So I'm happy my reading is through today. Thank you, Professor Anindya Roy, Tanmay, Sneha, and B.D. Chatterjee for sharing your nuggets of wisdom. There's so much to learn. Our best wishes to you for your continued success. I just want to leave everyone with a thought I heard somewhere sometime back. We are all stories in the end. Just make it a good one. I'll just change it a little bit. Just tell a good one, right? So just keep telling the stories, and everybody, like I think I think Tanmay said, or Professor Anindya Roy said, that everybody can tell a story. We all have stories to tell. So let's begin today. Okay. So thank you once again.
I think just continuing from Anuj sir's point also, he very well said that, everyone has a story to tell. And as the host of the evening today, I think we have also a quick story to tell about the Adda season 2 journey right now. So if I could just present a small video to everyone in the audience, and of course our panelists also, about how we have evolved as Adda season 2 from May 28th to now January 28th. So I'll just share my screen for a second. And please let me know if it's audible too. This is a video that is like a recap of our season 2 Adda journey. And this is a small thank you to everyone here who's present, not just our panelists, but also our audience members who's been with us through and through. So I'm just presenting my screen.
Please.
So take good care of yourself. That is very important. Your physical, mental health is very important, and then only you can be a good caregiver.
So I think that was just a quick video thanking the audience members, thanking the panelist who's been with us through and through. And that was just a small glimpse to our Adda Season 2 journey. And anything else, Prakasa, you would like to say before we end the session for today?
Yes. I'm totally humbled by the experience we have had. Such good speakers, such good panel members, giving different sorts of knowledge to us in terms of fitness, in terms of again story writing, storytelling today, in terms of healthy living. So all these things have come in, and I think we've added some great value to the time that our viewers have spent on that platform. So yeah, again, thank you so much. And coming just my one point on the topic of storytelling and authorship. Again, as Anup said, we all have a story to tell. Some stories we make up, some stories we narrate from the experiences we have in lives, and some stories are about dreams that we have, right? So we all have a story. So and, earlier, I think we used to have a concept of diary writing. You write your diary as a teenager. So that is again one part of storytelling. We should all have a practice of, I think, writing down our thoughts somewhere, maybe in a phone itself, or maybe in a laptop, one document you can create and capture your thoughts, and maybe you can like that and introspect. So that's my take on storytelling and story writing. So, and enough. So we'll see you soon in the next season, and with another great pack of speakers and moderators. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Have a very good evening ahead. Thank you so much, dear speakers, also. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure talking to you all, and we'll catch up again in season 3.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for wonderful running. And Tanmay, let's run together someday soon. Whenever Anup will be in town.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a very good evening. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.